We are here on Fyfe's campus in the field house with three very special gentlemen. The Benefields are here. Coach Benefield and his two sons, Eli and Seth, sitting on each side of him. Very interesting video we wanted to do right here to showcase their unique relationship. Now they have come back together here at Fyffe. They're all on the same staff for the first time in history. You guys have been at Fyffe together, obviously, with these two being your sons, but totally different roles. They were on the field playing for you, but now they're peers, so to speak. I don't know if you can call them that, Coach.
Yeah,
call them peers. Now, Coach, we rewind the clock. We did an interview with you when we first got established, kind of about your career, and you talked about growing up here at Fyffe. And for some of those who didn't see that video, talk about Fyffe when you came up, what it was like, different than what it is now. You said they didn't even have a fence around the field at one time.
No, when I was little, I know they didn't. I've seen pictures, especially, I think when first games I remember they did, but they didn't have a retaining fence at one time in the 60s. Football here in, my first kind of remembering, about, of course, when my oldest brother, Larry, started to play, and my first cousin, Gene Ashley, which Seth wore their number, those two guys, and that was about 65, and we didn't have much of a football team then. And then Coach Ellis came in 67 and started to build a foundation, and then Coach Householder continued that on. That's when I was coming up. I think I was going into 7th grade when Coach Householder came here. So.
And Coach, you've had actually NFL players that you admired here that also shares the name of the stadium and the field here with you. You have Ridgeway and you have Long that was both great, fantastic players. Talk about what those guys meant to you coming up as a child.
Well, I don't remember Charles Long. He played in the 50s. I mean, Danny Ridgeway and my middle brother Roger were good friends. And, they was over at the house together, and that was, he didn't probably know it, but that's one of my heroes. And he passed away back a few years ago, but, went to Alabama and played for Coach Bryant. But, I just grew up like a lot of kids right now. They look at our football players like they're professional players, and that's their heroes. I try to get that over to our kids now, that they're somebody's hero. He might be an elementary kid, but it don't matter. You gotta walk the walk when you are a part of something that kids look up to.
Now, life, as you two guys know it here at Fyffe, is totally different. And when your dad arrived back at home in 1997, is that correct? And then started to what we know Fyffe football as now. We'll start right here with Seth. You're the oldest. As you as a child coming up, watching
He's the middle now. Alex, I got another son.
Between these two?
Yeah.
Yeah, between the oldest. Yes. What was it like with you growing up here? And you saw what was coming. The state championships weren't here, but really high-end competitive football when you were coming up.
Right. Well, when I was a manager probably from first grade all the way up until I was old enough to play. So, I mean, like he was talking about, you had heroes, but I didn't really have one. I didn't really understand. Obviously we had teams come up later that did go and win state championships, but then I thought those guys that were playing when I was little, you couldn't get no better. I thought they were the greatest players that ever walked the earth. So, like, what he's saying is true. It's like that when I was little too. And it was all of them. I didn't pick one out any specific year. I can't even think of one that was favorite. I just watched them and just thought nobody could get any better than them. And when I got older and started playing, you figure out that, that kind of helped me realize that people are watching you all the time. You may not know it or not, but from being little and growing up and playing through it and being back now, it's different in all three of those stages. When you're little, you got that stage of these guys are so big and fast, and then you're in it, and that's kind of the fastest stage to me when you're playing. Mm-hmm. When you were younger, I can remember things, but when I was playing, it's like as soon as it started, I was a 10th grader, started playing, 9th grader, then I'm a senior, and then it comes to here now, and it seems like it was just yesterday. I was little, but
Doctors have actually done studies on that. Used to, it seemed like Christmas. You couldn't imagine. It seemed like it was forever before it ever got here. The reason being, you was on Earth for such a short time. That was forever to you back then. But as the years go on, it just flies by. That's what it makes sense from a scientific standpoint. What he's saying there.
Yeah.
Now, you were here on that 14 team.
Yes.
When Coach introduced the Ugly Eagle,
Yes.
the documentary, the ASHA network, and Caleb Brooks and those guys went in depth in that. But touch on that. When that come in, things really changed and escalated.
Well, see, I was just a ninth grader, so I wasn't really. I was on a couple teams and I wasn't starting. So but I remember it coming in, and it was just one of those things. To me, I don't know what everybody else was thinking, but I was kind of thinking like, this is crazy. I've never seen anything different. And I started watching it, and the first time it really hit me that was, we did it. We run it in the Jamboree, and all that in the fall Jamboree. But when we played Geraldine in 2014, I was a ninth grader on extra point, punt, kickoff, things like that. Didn't really even play on offense and defense, and I watched us kind of just wear them down like that. And that's second quarter, really, third and fourth quarter especially. As a ninth grader, 15, 16 years old, I figured out that this is a lot different than what we used to run. This is a totally different game now, and we might actually have a chance to do something bigger than we've done already.
I'm about to check back in with you because I got quite a few more questions about your run here. But before I do, Coach, that offense we just pre-mentioned, you told me at one point you was at a coaching clinic walking along and you kind of stumbled. Something felt like something pushed you in there, stumbled in this room. Describe what that was like and what drew you to that offense.
I don't know. I was just looking for something. Had a really good running back. Austin Stiefel was going to be a senior. And I wanted something, in the wing T, you can just basically go one way with him. But I wanted either run the eye and I had talked about wing eye and slot eye and stuff like that. But I don't know. I didn't have anywhere else to go. And it's just like I'm walking along looking at my little in Atlanta, and I thought, well, let me go in here and see what this guy says. That's when I met Tim Murphy.
See the gentleman from California with the tattoos and all?
Yes. That as I left, if I make a commitment to do something like that, I'm going to do it. And if I'm not, I'm not. But a lot of people didn't believe we would be snapping it in a shotgun.
From the 1 yard line.
From the 1 yard line. But we did. We'll continue. But now when Seth came up, he had a little bit of wing T left where we under center. And we used that along the way, as a under the sleeve type of thing.
Right.
We needed a boot when catch other team not paying any attention, we might line up in that. And we were a big jet sweep team, and we still jump in that and do that. Even the first year of the Big Ugly in the state championship game, we got a 70-yard touchdown run out of Stiefel, and we just jumped in a new format. But anyway, I didn't know what Seth was talking about wearing people out. He's right. I didn't understand that it was going to do that to people. But it has. Of course, it's 9 years old now, and everybody's starting to do it, and it's not such a novelty anymore. So
you got a lot of copycats.
But I don't think I'm going to have to. I don't know how long I'll coach, but I might not change offenses for the rest of my time.
Now, this is going to be a unique interview, so I'm going to jump over here to Eli. Eli, you came up in this system, but you come up in a little different era. You came up when it was established, and Fyffe had climbed that mountain and got that original blue map that your brother and some of these other guys had earned ahead of you. Talk about your time growing up, man, and what that was like.
Well, with the offense wise, I couldn't believe it because I remember that spring, I don't know, possibly Madison Academy at Crossville, we were playing somebody in the spring, and I just remember him saying, we might not show it or this or that. So I just didn't really know. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what he was planning. And then when I saw a snapping it shotgun from, like you said, the 1 yard line, I was like, well, I guess this is it. I guess this is our offense. But it was totally different because I grew up. I remember every game. Almost every game since I was 5, and I remember the under center, and then going to that, it was so much different. But not different at the same time.
Did you view the players like your brother viewed the players?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, I was thinking, there's no way I'm ever going to be that big or fast. Like, how is that possible? But I'm like him. Like there's not just one player I can pick out because I can think of some that I'll just see out every now and then. I'm like, yeah, that guy used to be my role model.
If you told them that, they probably wouldn't believe it, would they?
No, they wouldn't. They look at me now and they're like,
What
they
are you
don't even know
talking
who
about?
I am.
What are you talking about, dude?
He was like 5 when we went 07.
Yeah, I remember it.
Field.
Yeah, I remember it.
They still, all them players still call it Big Love. That's what,
That was your
Rick and
nickname?
Bubba, he
Oh,
called
yeah.
one of his, so I started calling him
Big
Big
Love.
Love, and that's where that came from. But all them players say, "You Big Love?"
Yeah,
He answers
that's
that.
me.
That's awesome.
I'm old now.
That's
But
what
I got a picture of them when they were managers. I should have put that on here, Seth was here, of course. Eli looked like he was arguing. He had a towel. They looked like he was fussing. Looked like it was at Ider, probably about 09 or
That's
somewhere
awesome.
along in that. But
Now,
and Coach Meisner's boy was manager, and then just kids around. I don't know who all was on that picture.
Now, in 14 seasons, I'm going to pick up right there. Coach, when you did get that final, that blue map, the one you'd been chasing all those years, that was a map that was earned by lots of guys, a lot of sweat and hard work from guys even before it wasn't even on that team to get you to that point. What was that like for you personally?
It's just like you have heard the monkey on the back. Well, that felt like one was, and that wasn't brought by the community or anybody but myself. I had always dreamed of seeing the state championship games and just getting to the point where I thought, well, we'll never be able to get there. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna be one of these coaches. Oh yeah, I knew I was gonna do this. No, I didn't know any of it. I just knew I was gonna just keep working for that. But a lot of great coaches never win a state championship. I mean, there's a lot of them out there. So it's just a blessing, to when I got that off my shoulder, it's just like
Did you breathe fresh air for the
yeah,
first time?
yeah. I'm just it's like when you accept Jesus Christ and you're born again.
That's
Not that point, not that important,
Yeah.
but it still makes you just.
It's a different
You
vibe.
just wake up the next day thinking, "Nah, I don't have this burden."
No more burden. The chains that set him free. Seth, you was a freshman on that team. Describe what you were feeling.
Oh, it was the whole year. I never even it's as bad as we were beating people in the regular season like we'd never beaten them before. To me it felt like maybe the score was the same, but I could just tell. When we was 10-0 at the end of the year, I was thinking I had Tanner in my head. I know you ain't looking ahead, but Tanner beat us the year before, and we knew they had the same type of guys coming back. And I was just sitting there thinking, if we can beat them, we might actually go to the side. Still didn't think about winning it, because it's not even a thought in your head. It wasn't in mine. I just really didn't even think that was possible, to be honest. But when we got there, I'm kind of looking around, and you think I would be in a daze looking around. I really wasn't. All I wanted to do, and like I said, I didn't play that much, but I wanted to win so bad. Because I remember in 2007, didn't play. I was probably 10 years old, and this man, I don't know who it was. It was probably one of the Athletic Association guys at the time, and he said, if y'all win, y'all get one of these right here. He showed it to me, which we were managers then. If we would have won, I wouldn't even got one because managers don't get one. I'd have been upset anyway. But ever since then, I was beautiful. And in 14, I was like, we have got to win. I'm on punt, kickoff, extra point, whatever I can do on those teams. And I was just wanting to win. So I wouldn't even look at anything. I didn't even enjoy it. Didn't even look around. And I was like, I was starting, playing. And first quarter goes by, and I think we were down 10-0 at one point, and I was like, just sitting there. I wasn't quitting, but I was just like, we'll never win again if we don't win it right here. If we don't win this year, we'll never be back. I just had that in my head. Little did I know I was real wrong about that.
Yeah.
But when we finally did win the game, it was just a guy. I guess it was, like I said, one of the state people again. When we were going to shake hands, he handed me a handful of newspapers. Like, I hadn't even shook hands with the other team yet, and it had 5 state champs on it. Those newspapers. He handed them to me. And I'm a ninth grader running through shaking hands. And I just remember looking at him. I the other team, I didn't even see them. I don't even know if I touched any of them's hands. I didn't want to drop one. Walking through. Yeah, I was holding them like this, and when I got back, I started throwing them at people. And it really didn't hit me until really we got home. You know, I was sitting there like, yeah, we won and whatever, but I didn't really start thinking about how crazy that really was until we got home. And I put the stuff up, and I was like, we really did just win the state championship.
Unbelievable.
And that's when it hit me.
Eli, how did you view it? Because you were still helping manage the team then, or what were you doing?
Yeah, it's actually crazy, which it wasn't that year, but my buddy, and he knows exactly who he is. And I remember him telling us, it was before we ever won it, and before we even really got close. We were real young. We were going to UAB for a football game. We were in Pee Wee's. They invited us there. We were on the bus. He said, we're going to win at least one state championship when we're older. You think, right? I'm like, you're crazy. Like, these guys ain't even won. No way. But in 14, I just, all the hectic parts of the game, even though we were ahead, I still was thinking in the back of my head, I was like, we can't win. Like, there's no way we can. And when we won, it was just, I wasn't as much of a part of it, but I was there, and I saw all those years we played teams like Lineville, Clay County, Woodland, and I remember all those guys leaving the field crying. And when we walked off that field crying, it was different.
A different cry.
Yeah, it was unexplainable.
Now, fast forward on up here. Now we know what you've done since then. You have 6 state championship rings. Coach has won over 300 games. He's a Hall of Famer. He has the highest percentage by, I think, 5 or 6 points of any coach in state's history that's coached over 100 games. Both of you guys were big parts of that and continue to be parts of that. When you look back at it now, what is it like for each one of you guys?
Ooh. What is it? I mean, to think about all that's happened, and I got to be a part of it, it's one of those things that you really don't have a lot of time to go back and think about it a lot, or you just don't. I guess you do have time, but really I think about it when people ask, like you just did. People start asking how special it is, and it's something that I can't even explain, because it's just something that I will always be so proud of, and it's always going to be a talking point for me. Anybody talks about anything that I've done or I appreciate, it's going to be Fyffe football that I'm going to talk about, because it's one of the most important things around me, and always has been, probably always will be. So it's hard to explain one specific feeling I have for it, because it's really all of them combined into one, and it's something that's just really special to me.
It's loss of words. It's just let us not forget the guys that, before we were thought of as a dynasty, we were still a dynasty in the making.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it wasn't the championship rings and all that, but a lot of guys put a lot of tough time, and it's not like the work changed. I mean, them guys were doing the same stuff I was doing.
Yep.
And they appreciate it too.
That's right. Now, Coach, in your words, same kind of question. You've been the one steady voice in the middle of all this. What has it been like for you during this run?
Well, the reason they didn't think we could win one is because they heard me talk all the time about this game and that game, and we had a chance, and this game, something happened here, somebody got hurt here, and you begin to just think, well, it's not in the stars. You're not going to line up right for you. And do we have enough players that can grind through a 15-game schedule and keep enough healthy to even compete? And we won a couple of championships with people hurt his senior year. Some of them were playing, some weren't. And of course, everybody has that, and other teams did too. But it's just I don't know how to explain it either. I'm an old man, and it's just and the reason we don't sit around and dwell on it is because we know we got to go back to work and defend that, and at least give the thing about, as I look at things, these kids, every team is different, and every team deserves the opportunity that comes from the pushing and the working that we we do. You know, I can't let up. I've missed more stuff this year because of health issues, which makes me feel, you know, a little bit guilty. But you know, hopefully we can get that made up. But anyway, it's just been a, you know, good run. It's not the most important thing in life, but it is some sweet victories, and I don't look at myself as nothing no different than I did 30 years ago. As far as I don't know, I coach the same way that I always have. I guess I finally was so dumb I stumbled onto something that fit us and fit our work ethic. You know, we've had some good football players too, but they paid the price to be good. And a lot of these type guys they're not all state players. They're not. Some of them might not even been all county, but they did the best they could do. That's all you can ever do.
They grinded it out.
They did.
A unique situation about this interview is something I want to touch on. Is you got two sons here. Was there a point when these guys were coming up that you seen coaching traits in them as players? The way maybe they took coaching or the way they coached their teammates?
I don't remember just ever thinking. And they'll both tell you I've tried to talk them out of coaching because it's not going to be like it. It can never be like it as good as it's been during the time they were playing. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think it can get any much better. But the deterioration of discipline in our schools and our country, and I just, you know, I would have encouraged. But if you, well, like I've always said and told young coaches, and I tell them the same, if you could live without it, you know, don't get 40 years old and look back and say, well, I wish I'd have coached. And we've got plenty of them in the bleachers that's not going. They think they're coaches. They only coach when their kids are playing, you know.
Oh, yeah.
A daddy ball coach. But and, you know, it's just, I don't know what school systems are going to be like 20 years from now.
It's a different world.
I don't think you'd probably be able to coach like I coach, even here.
Coach Farmer said that in his interview, if you remember, talking about you.
Yeah.
He said, that's can't do that anywhere else nowadays.
Yes. Well, I think you can. You just, it's hard life. You can't. I feel like I don't have no choice. I can't do it no other way.
I don't know of any kids that want to work like that anywhere, really. I mean, there's a few places.
If you get it, get your feet in the ground and people stand. I mean, the principle is people stand behind you. You can get things. And when people figure out they're not going to help coach, if they don't want to be in that kind of program, a discipline program that's going to teach respect to everybody, and it comes at a hard price sometimes. And your son might not be somebody that respects a lot of people. He might be, but he might not be. And if he's not, I'll help him out. And if they don't want that, then. But you got to win games too.
Yeah, you got to keep that administration on your back with your backside. Then you definitely got to.
Yeah.
Seth, for you personally, was there a point when you come out of school and you thought, I want to do something else for a career, or was you going straight in? I'm going to be a coach.
Yeah, I made that decision about 9th or 10th grade. I was gonna coach. I never thought of doing something else. I had people come in, like when you're a senior in high school, they come and bring you things. You can do this, you can do that, career day type stuff. And I paid attention just for the sake of paying attention. Maybe
Respect.
But no, there's never been anything else I wanted to do. I'm not really a handyman. I don't really know how to fix a lot of things. I don't know how, which I know I could have learned. You go to school and learn, but I'm not interested in. I've wanted to coach really since about 10th grade. That's what I knew. That's what I wanted to do.
Gotcha. Same question for you, Eli.
Originally, I actually wanted to coach college ball, and then I went down to Faulkner University, played for Coach Gray, Coach Miller, great guy. He's at Georgia now, but that kind of changed. I mean, the amount of time those guys put in, and the amount of moving goes with it. I just rather stick with kids, shifting their life, because that's when I started questioning myself what I really want to do. That's what meant the most, was kids growing into better people instead of just being known as an athlete or something like that. And I feel like that was my purpose instead of college athletes, the way it is now, and the NILs and all that. That's great that they can do that, but that's just not for me.
Not your cup of tea?
No.
When you first started looking at the game from the sidelines, from a coach's point of view, how much different did it look than when you were playing?
Well, I kind of was playing when I first realized it. I wasn't on the field, but I was in a uniform.
Was it during your injury?
It was.
The ACL? Okay.
Yeah. It's when I could see things from the sideline that, sometimes I wasn't even seeing in a game, that I was noticing, because I could step back and think instead of just being all
reacting
and stuff and all that. I feel like I hope I helped those guys that was playing, and the feeling of getting a feedback from them of what they wanted to hear and what they did, that made me feel like I helped and was a part of something. So even then, that's when I realized it. But yeah, it was a lot different when I was out of the pads. It was, even though I kind of grew up and played with those guys, they were younger guys, they still respected me like I was 20 years older than them or whoever. So it made it easier here, at least.
No doubt. Seth, same question for you. When you seen the game, you went off and played baseball first before you started. You went student teaching.
Yes.
You had stops at what obviously Valley Head and you Hoax Bluff too as well.
I did a junior practicum at Hoax Bluff, and then I did my student teaching and senior practicum at Valley Head. I was there a year, and I helped football in Valley Head. And with the question, is it different? Obviously, yes, it's a lot different. But the main thing that I've noticed in my short time of doing this is when I screwed up, when I'm playing, everybody thinks different. And somebody from the sideline told me something. Okay, right, some people you can do that. But there's kids now, and there was then, and there always will be. You have to figure out what to say, how to say it, when to say it, with every single thing you say. It don't need to sound too much like this or too much like that. They need to know within seconds what you mean when you say one thing. And that's a lot harder to do when you're out there playing. And say I see somebody screw up, I can go out there and tell them one-on-one right there, hey, this and that. It's a lot easier that way. When you're on the sideline coaching, it's different. It's different because you can't just walk right up to them and say you see one guy on the other end of the field. You have to figure out how to relay a message in a different way. And it's harder than it was when you play. To me, it's harder to coach and get somebody to do something you want them to do than it is when you're playing with them.
So you have to be kind of like a hybrid.
Right.
You got to know how to handle everybody in different situations.
And playing helps. If I played the secondary, I help coach the secondary. That helps. I got knowledge of playing the game, so I know a little bit how it is. But these guys now, they don't know. They don't have the experience I've got. I've been gone and been coaching and played 3 years in the secondary. Some of them, like Ryder Gibson, he's in the 9th grade. He don't have any experience. He played last year as an 8th grader. But you have to know how to tell them things that they know exactly what you're talking about and to be able to fix it. Because you can't expect a kid, you may know what you're talking about in your head, but if you can't relay that message to them and get them to know what to do, then it doesn't matter how much you know.
It's never going to work.
No. That's the thing about coaching is just because you know a lot or you were good, don't mean you can be a good coach because you got to know how to talk to them.
Coach, take these two guys not being your son aside. Just pretend you don't even know these two guys. Hearing what they've just told you and knowing what you know about young coaches, if you had words of wisdom, just a short, brief summary of, hey, if you're a young coach, you better, or you really need to do this, what would that be?
Before I answer that, on something Eli touched on as far as moving around. What coach's kid gets raised in a log cabin in the woods and gets to stay there his whole life that has a daddy that's a coach these days?
Oh, no, you forget
I
it.
just thought about that, just how blessed they are.
You can forget it.
And of course, they're one of the reasons I hadn't went somewhere. I have had opportunities to go places, but I didn't want to be the type of guy running them around, moving schools. I would if it made us a better life, but I hadn't felt like anything did. So, they just you got to study the game of football, and if you whatever position you coach, you really kind of want coaches. I would to have to want the goal to be a head coach someday, whether they get the opportunity where they want to be or not. But you can't be a coach like some of these players that don't never think about football other than and that's what they're fixing to find out. When they went home, they could go eat supper and go to bed and sleep, and while I'm staying up sweating bullets every Friday night of what I did wrong or how I can get people in the right places. That's what poor old Ryder Gibson there, he's talking about we change him up. I do. It ain't them, it's me. I move people around trying to find that perfect fit for them. And sometimes it's confusing for them to start with, but everybody's not made to play a certain. You got to find what they're going to be successful position. Not just because their daddy played somewhere, just because his brother played somewhere, a certain position. Everybody's not linebackers. Everybody's not running backs. Everybody's.
You said something a long time ago in one of our interviews with you. Everybody's work is different too. Work here at Fyffe is different than work vastly different than some other places. So like when you see the amount of work you guys put in and ask kids to do here, I can promise you, because I'm in all these other schools, it's not the same. So how do you get kids to buy into doing that type of work?
People are beginning to. We've kind of set a precedent of, and other coaches are starting to. Everybody's working. I don't know how they work. I'm not in any other school. I don't know. Maybe they're out working us. I don't know. But, I don't know if you're not going to buy in to anything. I don't know what your purpose is. I think I give some kind of speech like that yesterday. I don't know what you're doing here if you're not going to give everything. If you're just trying to sneak around and hide behind somebody, cheat on your reps, what are you doing in here? I mean, we have them like that, but I guess they just want to be a part of the team, and that's okay. I guess, but I'd like to have a little effort out of everybody, because even if you're not a great player, you might make a good player better by practicing hard against him until your time comes. So, it's not a cowardly game here at Fyffe. You better grow up in a hurry and go. You're gonna get hit. You're gonna get hit a lot till you get used to it. And I ain't gonna say till you get to liking it, because that's sometimes never the case. But I guess just we're still living in the 70s here in a lot of ways, or 60s or 70s, where it's tough and physical, but not just all the time. But I know a lot of people do that. A lot of people or a lot of coaches are coach better than I do and smarter than I am, and I know that's why I work hard, because I know I'm not too smart. I'm not going to outsmart nobody with no elaborate passing skills or running plays or defenses or nothing. But I don't know. It's working so far. But
how special was it when these two guys both decided to come back and be on your staff with you? What does it mean to you personally?
Well, I don't know how, whether they want that or not. They had to put up with me as long as it did. I mean, he's still in college.
Yeah.
He won't be here all the time. For the time being, I hope he is someday. And then Seth had other opportunities to go places, lots of opportunities. But this school means something to them, I'm sure. And they're just nice to have a paycheck too. They went, 4 years.
You lost at a Mustang.
I mean, that's just like guys I went to school with. They got jobs, and I go to college, and I whatever you spend in 4 years of college, who knows? But they made more than that, and I'm already way behind them. Some of them retired 10 years ago that I played ball with, and I'm still working. So
That's incredible.
So evidently I didn't coach for money.
Now you guys, obviously we've run long on this video, but there's a few more questions before I get you out of here. To be able to coach with your dad, who's now obviously a legend in the state, Hall of Famer, the accolades go on and on. What are you hoping to get from this experience?
Oh yeah, I mean, I couldn't think of anybody better to learn from. You know, I've obviously learned throughout as I was growing up. You know, that's why I love football. I've heard about it my whole life, and you know, I've learned stuff before I got here now. But to be able to learn from him now as a first year coach, as a first year teacher, you know, I couldn't think of anybody better to start out under, or for somebody to have to ask any question I have. There's somebody that's been doing it for as long as he has that'll probably have an answer for any question I can ask. So to me, I'm blessed just for that reason. First of all, he's my dad. Second of all, he knows I doubt that I'll ever come up with a question that he won't have an answer for.
You're going to have to put him to the test on that one this year.
Yeah.
Eli, same question for
He took my answer there. It was learning. I mean, that's the best thing, but not learning, but helping in some sort of way, whether that's, you know, carrying stuff on a bus, carrying these fans, all these chairs and stuff that nobody sees anybody carrying, just stuff like that, you know, just to give a little appreciation, you know. All that goes a long way, and people appreciate that, and I appreciate all the people that's ever done that for me. So that, you know, just helping a little bit, people appreciate it, and I appreciate just being here. So that, on top of learning, helping is a big deal to me.
Coach, if you fast forward, whether it be 2, 4, 10, however long you want to coach, and you look back at this time that you guys are getting to spend around each other from this format, you got to spend time around each other from all the way from the toddler stage, infant stage, all the way up. This has to be special. What do you think? What do you want to take away from these memories, having these two guys coaching?
4 children. 4 beautiful they've had. But,
They've had to deal with the good and bad coach.
It is special, and I'm going to enjoy it. You know, I can't coach forever, and that'll be up to the good Lord on my health, how long that can go on. But this is a high energy thing that you do. And I ain't gonna lie, I get tired now in them hot days.
That's your number one enemy is the sun.
Yeah.
Y'all go 12-round bouts daily, don't you?
Yeah. It's just it's tough. I don't know. I'm gonna enjoy it. Like I said, the monkey's off my back as far as it never is really. The more you win, the more monsters you create, and some of it is within my own self, you know, and some of it's with know-it-alls, bleachers. Hadn't seen some of them. What have we lost? 9 games, and 7 games in 9 years or something. Should have won them probably according to some people, but you can't kind of worry about that. And these guys don't have to worry about things like that because, you know, they've been a part of a lot of winning, and they've got. They as time goes on and they get older, they'll appreciate that even more and more because, like I said, I don't know how we can really keep going at the pace we're going and top that. You know, maybe they can get a guy to come in here and turn this thing around someday. I don't know.
Y'all been running on jet fuel for a while now.
I think so, but you know, it's just it's an evolving thing as far as strategy and you got to learn to, like I said, they may be coordinators or head coaches someday, and that's what's going to be different for them is when they start having that 5 seconds, 7 seconds to make that big decision, and it's the wrong decision sometimes. It don't matter who you are, how old you are, how young you are, you make, and they need to understand that and don't beat yourself up too much about it, but they will. I guess I did. Any decision I make, if it wasn't the right one, I feel like I've cheated these guys that's run up down this hill all summer. That they always ask me why I'm nervous, kids do, and that's why. I shouldn't be nervous other than the fact that I want them to be successful because, you know, like I mentioned, I brought up before about our kids year before last that won the state last year, but the year before they just felt like they'd let the whole town, everybody down, and they didn't. Nobody ever done what they done sitting up there behind them, watching them.
It's easy drinking a Coke, eating
standing on
popcorn.
the fence, yeah. And they know it. They know it deep down. Usually them guys that played and know what it's like to be out there don't have a lot to say. It's always those that didn't play.
That's right.
I think they know something.
Maybe band guys or something.
Could be. I don't know.
Guys, before we shut this down, Seth, what would you like to say to your dad, man? I mean, I know you can't ever repay him with money or nothing like
Yeah.
that, but what would you like to say to him right now? Just kind of heart to heart about
I mean,
Just don't get too hard.
it's it's I don't know. There's hard to say just one thing. I love you, but I guess just all the stuff he's taught me in sports and out of sports. And he uses football. It's one of the things I thought he was always really good at is he can connect football with life better than anybody I've ever heard. Anything I've ever seen on YouTube or anything like that. So I want to be that way. I want to be the guy that can connect it to life, to real life situations, and you can use that. I use it every day. I can make a football analogy because of all the things I've heard when I played football. So obviously, glad to have the opportunity to come help him and coach with him too. But yeah, thank you is short words to say. I could say it a million times.
Yeah.
For a lot of things, but
how they can thank me is live a good life, do the right thing.
He needs to stop talking first. I don't know. I don't have much to say. I mean, it's one of those, the discipline involved that you don't understand. When I get told to go clean my room when I'm 6, and I'm like, what's the point of cleaning my room? I don't get it. Well, now I do get it.
Yeah, you
You got to
do.
keep a clean room.
That's right.
You don't want rats in there. Just stuff. When your energy runs out, then discipline sets in. That's if I get up at 5 a.m, 3 days here to go do all this, that energy's gonna run out. I'm all fired up to go do whatever. Then the discipline sets in, and I feel like I don't have that perfect, and I never will. But I feel like I have experienced what it's like, tougher things than what I'm going through, and just normal life. And life's gonna get a lot tougher. And these things, they make it easier. And you can ask any guy I know, guys that might not have ever amounted to nothing. They might have, I don't know. But now they feel like they have a purpose. They can get up at 5 a.m. and go to work because they're like, well, that's a lot better than running hills at 5 a.m, 6 a.m. So, that pays off, things like that.
Yeah.
Just better at life.
That's right.
Being a husband, dad, teammate, brother, everything.
Yeah, all of it pays off.
All of it.
You hit the nail on the head, man. You can relate football to life.
Yeah.
Across the board. It teaches life lessons. Guys, I know it's a week night. I'm going to let you guys go. Appreciate you guys having me in for this interview as always, and we'll be looking forward to hanging out with you guys very soon. Thank you so much.
appreciate it.